Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Thursday 13 and we're going to count down 13 news stories that we missed that were under the radar. That's the phrase. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter news podcast, comprehensive news of planet Earth, where we look at our
to the cracks.
Fell through the cracks. Where we look up our news stories 10 to 15 minutes before we start the show with no caffeine. So for me, post-exercise, so I have less oxygen in my brain than I usually do. So let's get into these headlines and see what we're talking about today. Today on Before Coffee, Florida quits 88-year-old man in landmark 1966 quadruple murder retrial in Japan.
Meta missed out on smartphones. Can smart glasses make up for it?
Ricky Gervais, Moby, Joanna Lumley call on RSPCA to axe misleading scheme.
And on our Thursday 13, we have Haitians, hurricanes, and we have an indicted New York City mayor.
For culture news, the Moog music, the most influential electronic instrument, turns 60.
And it's National Situational Awareness Day. So, let's see, I'm in a room by myself and I'm on the internet. That's my situation for September 26th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
That's right. Be aware of where you are, because I think it's probably meant for make sure you're aware there's children or, you're in a street and you could get hit by a car. Just be situationally aware where you are at the moment.
Or if you're a
politician.
tree
could fall on me, I don't know. Maybe not be paranoid.
Or if you're Donald Trump, be aware of what state you're in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll cover that later. Yeah. Anyway,
be aware of what state you win. Challenge, too difficult, impossible.
When you're old and you can't get your shit together, that's what happens.
Speaking of being old and getting your shit together, thanks for the segue. This is coming out of a Japanese court that on Thursday, which is today, the 26th of September, has acquitted an 88-year-old former professional boxer in a high-profile retrial decades after he was sentenced to death over a 1966 quadruple murder, saying investigators had fabricated evidence. This is on Japan Today. I don't know who wrote it, so I don't know if anybody wrote it, but it's coming out. I think it's coming out of. It's copyrighted Kyoto, so Kyoto gets the copyright. Coming out of Shizuoka. There you go. I can speak. The retrial of Iwao Hakamata, who spent nearly half a century on death row before new evidence led to his release from incarceration in 2014, started last October at the Shizuoka District Court, with prosecutors demanding the death penalty. Hakamata's case marks the fifth time in post-war Japan that retrials have resulted in acquittals after death penalty was given, with the 4 previous rulings finalized without an appeal by prosecutors. I see what's happening here. In the ruling, the court said there were 3 instances of fabrication of evidence, including 5 pieces of clothing that Hakamata was alleged to have worn during the incident, and his confession, which the court said was forced. You better confess or we'll kill your family. Okay, I did it. Please don't kill my family. The clothing evidence played a key role in his conviction. I have no idea if that's what they threatened him with, but, something like that was threatened, and he was like, please don't do that. I'll give you my confession. A lot of times they also say, if you confess, we'll give you less time, That's another thing, and in America, that's what they do. Mm-hmm. Which is, I'm not guilty, but if I say I'm guilty, they'll give me community service instead of death penalty, He unfortunately did not get the plea deal.
They just worked.
Sorry?
Central Park 5, the Central Park 5, for instance, they were all innocent and they just worked them all against each other. Turn in your buddies and we'll go easy on you.
And then they all didn't get anything easy on them.
None of them got.
But one did. I did watch the documentary on that, and they did get out, and it's really sad to watch because some of the older people in that group were forced in solitary confinement for way too long that their brains messed up for the rest of their life. Because solitary confinement.
One of them's on New York.
Sorry?
One's on the New York City Council.
Yeah. Good. You know, it's good to see people getting acquitted after a long time of fabricated.
I
This
hope he
is
runs
too
for
long.
mayor.
The 60s was a long time ago. Like, you were barely born, so...
Oh, yeah. Holy crap. That's a long time in jail. That's several lifetimes.
He's 88. Like, this basically has no life left, and he was hanging out in... Hopefully Japan prisons aren't too bad. I have no idea about Japanese prisons.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
In the
Most
Marine Corps,
prisons
they
are
told me
bad.
they were
Let's be
terrible.
honest. Being locked in a room, forced with other criminals, not a great place to hang out, really. The free food is
When I
all
was
you
in
really
the Marine
feel good
Corps,
about.
When I was in Japan in the Marine Corps, they said if you end up in a Japanese prison, you better have somebody outside to feed you because nobody's going to feed you in prison. That's what they told me.
Yeah, and that was the 80s, so I'm sure it hasn't improved since the 60s as much.
Prison sucks.
So, where were we saying?
Go ahead, sorry.
Right.
I'm done.
On the clothing items, which were found in a miso tank near the site of the murders 14 months later, the court backed the defense's claim that the reddish color could not have been bloodstains from the time of the incident, as bloodstains on clothing would not remain red when immersed in miso for more than a year. Wow, that's... Who did that research? Okay, we're gonna put a bunch of stuff in miso and see if the stains disappear. What is the cleaning potential of miso soup? Find out now in Japan. So... Okay, anyways, the court also said that Hakamata's statements of confession were forced by inflicting physical and mental pain, calling in his questioning inhumane. Ah, yeah, torture the guy until he says he's guilty. Perfect. The ruling came after Tokyo High Court ordered a retrial in March last year, saying there was a strong possibility that 5 pieces of clothing had been planted by investigators. The High Court in 2018 had initially decided not to reopen the case, but a reversed course after the Supreme Court in 2020 ordered it to re-examine its ruling. Focus now shifts to whether prosecutors will appeal Thursday's ruling. The defense team has urged prosecutors not to challenge an acquittal. It took more than 9 years. 9. So of the... Let me do my math.
Wow.
60 years this guy has been in jail. 9 of those years was him hoping and probably praying to every single god in the earth, please let me get acquitted. And it took 9 years for him to finally get his defense team to challenge for an acquittal. To reopen this case in Shizuoka District Court granted him a retrial in 2014 as prosecutors filed an objection against the decision. Hakamata's mental state deteriorated due to his long incarceration, with signs of psychological strain manifesting from around 1980, when his death sentence was finalized. Yeah, I think that would drive anyone mad. I'm not guilty, I didn't murder 4 people, and now I'm gonna die for it. Well, time to just lose all the marbles. There's no point anymore. His 91-year-old sister appeared in court hearing on behalf of her brother. Wow, his sister's still alive to support him, you know? Of all the shitty stuff going on in this guy's life, at least he's got that, you know? My sister
Right.
who...
They had somebody to bring him food.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody to take him home, because he just has no house, right? He's completely just been in jail for 60 years. The former boxer was live-in employee at a miso maker when he was arrested in 1966 for allegedly killing the firm's senior managing director, his wife, and 2 of their children. Are you sure it wasn't the next CEO or the next manager who killed those guys? They were found dead from stab wounds in their house.
Whoever did it got away with it.
Yeah, obviously. They might still be alive, though, if this guy's still alive. They're found dead from stab wounds at their house in Shizuoka Prefecture, which had been burned down. Indicted for the murder, robbery, and arson, his death sentence was finalized based on a ruling that blood marks on the 5 clothing items found in the miso tank matched the blood types of the victims in Hakamata. Of course, we probably don't even have any testing done on the blood stains because, like they said, there's no way there was blood stains on some clothes in miso after like a year. He initially confessed to the killings during intense interrogation, but he pleaded not guilty at his trial. You know what this sounds like to me? Oh, this guy's a boxer. He's very violent, so he probably did it. Perfect scapegoat
sounds like
for
the
us.
Hurricane Carter story.
Yeah. Let's read some of the comments on this article just a little bit. If, in fact, the prosecution has planted this evidence, what justice can bring back the years of life that he has lost? We invent robots and we put his brain in the robot and then he can live on forever as a robot. That's my solution.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of right now. We can upload his brain to the internet. Some people, we did an article about that. You uploading your brain to the internet and living on through the internet. We can do that. You know, you can experience all 60 years of technological advancement at once and then explode.
There's no way to make it right.
Happy that he can finally get some peace. This is from section 321. After the unreal ordeal, they should name the prosecutors a push for this retrial instead of going along with the Supreme Court's ruling. Yeah, name the assholes who set this guy up. One thing that terrifies me about living in Japan, this is from David Brent. It's not actually David Brent. In Japan is being arrested for something I didn't do. There's no pursuit of truth there. It's just about ticking boxes and getting a conviction. Similar to France, actually. France also has a justice system similar to that. They don't care if you did it or not. They just want somebody to get arrested for it so they can say, okay, paperwork done. We found somebody. It happened.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, we need a suspect. Oh, there's one perfect. He's a boxer. Put him in jail. Give him death sentence. Never have to worry about that again.
Don't forget Casablanca. Those guys were French,
yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Casablanca, they're like, round up the usual suspects. Those are French
exactly,
guys.
Exactly. Yep. But that's my story. Good job, prosecutors defense for not giving up. And all his supporters. There's a bunch of old men standing out the courtroom after the retrial with their little papers and their banners saying, you know, he's free, he's not guilty, he didn't kill 4 people. Don't kill this man.
Good for him. Hope he lives another 50 years.
Yeah, he deserves it.
And good health.
On to your story, I guess.
Okay. From horrible incarceration to smartphones. Not a good segue. This is from Wired.com. Lauren Good says Meta missed out on smartphones. Can smart glasses make up for it? Meta has dominated online social connections for the past 20 years, but has missed out on making the smartphones that primarily delivered those connections. Now, in a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar effort to position itself at the forefront of connected hardware, Meta is going all in on computers for your face. At its annual Connect developer event today in Menlo Park, California, Meta showed off its new, more affordable Oculus Quest 3S virtual reality headset and its improved AI-powered Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. But the headliner was Orion, a prototype pair of holographic display glasses that Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg said had been in the works for 10 years. Zuckerberg emphasized that the Orion glasses, which are available only to developers now, aren't your typical smart display, and he made the case that these kinds of glasses will be so interactive that they'll usurp the smartphones for many needs. Building this display is different from every other screen you've ever used, Zuckerberg said on stage at Meta Connect. Meta Chief Technology Officer Andrew Bosworth had previously described the tech as the most advanced thing we've ever produced as a species. The Orion glasses, like a lot of heads-up displays, look like the fever dream of techno-utopians who have been toiling away in a highly secretive place called Reality Lab for the past several years. One Wired reporter on the ground noted that the thick black glasses look chunky on Zuckerberg. As part of the on-stage demo, Zuckerberg showed how Orion glasses can be used to project multiple virtual displays in front of someone, respond quickly to messages, video chat with someone, and play games. In the messages example, Zuckerberg noted that the users won't even have to take out their phones. They'll navigate these interfaces by talking, tapping their fingers together, or by simply looking at virtual objects. There will also be a neural interface built in that can interpret brain signals using a wrist-worn device that Meta first teased 3 years ago. Zuckerberg didn't elaborate how many of these will actually work or when a consumer version might materialize. He also didn't get into the various privacy complications of connecting this rig and its visual AI to one of the world's biggest repositories of personal data. Okay. He did say that the imagery that appears through the Orion glasses isn't pass-through technology where external cameras show wearers the real world, nor is it a display or a screen that shows the virtual world. It is a new kind of display architecture, he said, that uses projectors in the arms of the glasses to shoot wavelengths into the lenses, which then reflect light into the wearer's eyes and create volumetric imagery in front of you. Meta has designed this technology itself, he said. The idea is that the images don't appear as flat, 2D graphics in front of your eyes, but with the virtual images now have a shape and depth. The big innovation with Orion is the field of view, says Anshel Sag, principal analyst at Moore Insights and Strategy, who is in attendance at Meta Connect. The field view is 72 degrees, which makes it more engaging and useful for most applications, whether gaming or social media or just content consumption. Most headsets are in the 30 to 50 degree range. I think they're talking about the angle that you're looking at, not the temperature. To call this holographic display concept new isn't totally accurate. Snap has used similar projector and waveguide technology in its Snap spectacles. The heavily hyped mixed reality company Magic Leap also attempted to pioneer waveguide technology. Even small startups like North, which couldn't sustain itself and was eventually sold for parts to Google, have attempted to build their own custom projector and waveguide technology into stylish glasses. Meta spokesperson Brian Pope said in an email to Wired that the display in Orion's unlike any other AR glasses product attempted to date as far as we know. Pope said that the lenses are made from silicon carbide, not glass, which is a highly refractive index, and contributes to Orion's relatively wide field of view, along with its intricate waveguide technology. The projectors in Orion also use newer ULED technology, which is supposed to be more power efficient. Meta hasn't put a price on the product, either what it will cost developers to acquire a pair and build it on it, or what something like this might eventually cost consumers. For now, Orion is still pie in the sky experiment, a product that Zuckerberg describes as a time machine. These glasses exist, they are awesome, they are a glimpse of the future. I think it's going to be pretty exciting, he said. But Orion also drives Meta's stake deeper into the mixed reality ground, where massive hardware makers like Apple and Samsung and social competitors like Snap have all tried to make their mark. Apple's strategy has been very Apple-y, releasing $3,500 VR headset that emphasize high-tech optics, impressive design, and Apple's own software ecosystem, while Snap has a similar approach to Meta's Orion by releasing an arguably cool but mostly inaccessible pair of holographic glasses for developers to toy with. So there is your story. We'll go more. Meta, on the other hand, has been able to position itself well in the popular consumer market by offering more accessible VR devices like the entry-level $300 Meta Quest 3S and the inherently more wearable Ray-Ban Meta glasses and sunglasses. According to recent data from Counterpoint Research, Meta's VR headsets account for about 80% of the total VR market. Meta hasn't shared total unit sales numbers of its Ray-Ban glasses, but its product partner Essilor Luxottica recently said it had sold more pairs in the past few months than in the 2 years prior. Sales of these face computers pale in comparison to global smartphone sales, and there's no saying if or when Meta will be able to bridge the projection technology as built for Orion with the light, plasticky, popular iframes that people can wear every day. Meta has also spent billions of dollars over the past 4 years trying to make this reality lab's vision a reality. The Orion glasses may never actually exist, especially in its brain signal interactions form, but Meta doesn't need them to. It just needs enough of that tech to trickle down to its mainstream products that they become part of everyday life the same way smartphones once did. And if all goes Mark Zuckerberg's way, ultimately replace them. There's your story on Meta with their new smartphone glasses to wear on your nose.
Yeah.
Put all that pressure on the bridge of your nose, like 40 pounds of computer stuff. I don't know how much they weigh. They seem like they would be a little bit bulkier, right? Back to you.
Okay, I mean, it's not really a surprise that the glasses are going to be clunky for a while, because I think if we followed glasses and these kind of smart glasses back what was it, 2008 when Google was trying to do it? If we had actually continued developing them since then, we probably would be like how we are with smartphones, right? Where we can get them really thin, we get really small, really accurate screens. But since we keep on kind of dropping smart glasses and bringing it back and dropping and bringing it back, right? This is kind of stilted technological advancement. So we'll see how long these ones last until we get rid of them, I guess. And decide we'll stick with holding phones in our hands. Okay. In some animal news, we're going to talk about the RSPCA who had to is being asked to axe a misleading scheme because they think they're selling animal meat, I think. This is from comedy writer Ricky Gervais, singers Moby and Brian Adams, and actors Joanna Lumley, Miriam Margolis, Sadie Frost, who have accused the RSPCA, my dyslexia activated there, of misleading the public with its scheme that endorses meat products. This is on The Independent by Jane Dalton. The celebrities, as well as former vice chair of the RSPCA's own board, are calling on the charity to drop its controversial Assured scheme, whose logo is often seen on items such as chicken, sausages, milk, and eggs. An open letter to RSPCA's chief executive Chris Sherwood and board chair Claire Horton accused the charity of failing to protect the largest group of animals that are suffering the most, those that are farmed. That's true. I think I'm not a vegan, but I do believe in factory farmed animals to be gross and disgusting, and that's why we only really buy meat from the local farmer here. That's kind of the great thing about living in a village with farmers is you can say, hey, are you, like they kill one cow a year or two cows every year, right? And, they say, okay, everyone come pick your piece. Who's getting the flank, and then, obviously whoever can afford it, but it's way better than killing 20 cows in one day and then all that meat getting shipped off to who knows where, in a processed way where it's not going to spoil for the next month, and then, it just kind of kills the whole, I'm not even a foodie, but that just kills the whole mood of food, I guess. Yeah. You don't think, a lot of people don't think about it. But I guess that's why they're talking about this. Your RSPCA Assured scheme is failing to ensure the welfare of farmed animals. It is a welfare washing animal cruelty, and it's misleading public that animals can be farmed without cruelty, the letter says. Some of them can, but not all of them. The majority of them are not being farmed without cruelty. The letter has been signed by 170 other people, including vets, doctors, professors, and Jay Treadget, former vice chair of the RSPCA board. The RSPCA is facing mounting pressures over its Assured scheme, but says it is still analyzing the findings of a comprehensive review of farms involved. The charity says Assured has given millions of animals better lives than they otherwise would have had, and is looking at the findings of a review of the scheme. Last week, The Independent, which is where this article is also from, revealed that the Advertising Standards Agency has launched an investigation into efforts by the RSPCA over complaints they are misleading. And then there's a huge list of all the academics from all the universities ever, and a sneeze, for who signed this 100 signatories for this campaign. A string of investigations has found animals at the RSPCA Assured farms were subjected to needless suffering. So they're trying to assure people, no, all our animals at the farms are treated humanely, and then they find out they're not being. This included workers hitting pigs as they prepare to put them in a gas chamber, and workers at dairy farms hitting cows with poles, kicking them, and yelling abuse at them. Don't be mistaken, cows can understand you yelling at them. All animals can understand that. They don't know what you're saying. The RSPCA was forced to cancel an anniversary party in London because of a planned protest over the Assured program. Like, I want to look at the details here. Pigs hit in face before agonizing CO2 death at supplier for Tesco, Asda, Aldi, and M&S. Okay, so that's what's happening. They weren't just being tapped on the butt to move them forward, right? They're being hit in the face. They're just being smacked right in the nozzle. And as anyone who knows anything about animals knows, punching animals in the nose is the one way you can hurt every animal. So yeah, it's not like that's just pain. It's not anything useful but pain. They were hitting cows with poles and kicking them. Oh, and they were hit with chains. They weren't just hitting them with like sticks. They were hitting them with chains. Stupid cow! Well, I think all people want, right? At least in, in our first world countries where we have nothing else to complain about. All they want is for animals to be treated like they matter. And unfortunately at these farms, they weren't being treated like they matter. They were being treated like objects that, make you money. And people don't like that. So that's why 170 people signed this paper accusing the charity of hiding what they say are injuries, disease, fear, and pain suffered by animals. The letter says, in the 200 years you've been in existence, you've failed to protect the largest group of animals who are suffering the most. Animals who are farmed. Almost 100 investigations of the past 16 years have shown shocking and heartbreaking levels of suffering in the RSPCA assured farms and slaughterhouses. Animals stamped on, kicked, and hit with blunt instruments. Newborn babies taken from their mothers. Animals confined in crowded, stressful conditions their entire lives. Many dying from dehydration, starvation, injury, or disease. Oh no. No, this is going to remind me of the movie Babe. The part where Babe gets taken from his mom in the beginning of the film. Oh, it makes me cry every time. He just wanted to be a sheepdog. Just let him be a sheepdog. Why don't we ask the pigs what they want? Because they can't speak to us. But one day they will learn how to speak, and then the revolution will come, and we'll be the ones being farmed in a billion years. If we don't all die from climate change.
Wine glasses.
Yeah. The majority of animals gassed to death in slaughterhouses, which causes fear, pain, and suffocation. As you're aware, much of this is widespread under RSPCA's assured scheme, yet the public is not aware of this. It goes on. Endorsing animal cruelty not only erodes the public's trust in RSPCA, it holds us back as a society from making the changes we so urgently need. Even your own president, Chris Packham, has described the evidence as utterly, sorry, I was getting distracted by you, utterly indefensible, and called for an immediate suspension of the assured scheme. I thought you wanted me to read something. The letter adds, putting your stamp of approval on an industry that confines and kills billions of animals, you're reinforcing the harmful myth that some animals matter more than others. And then there's a picture, of course, of a bunch of, I think these are chickens. I don't know, maybe turkey? Turkey or chickens. They're huge, so they could be either. Just billions of them for lines to see. Just a giant warehouse full of chickens. Whereas I like grass-fed chicken myself. It's almost like they're treated well and they taste better. The author highlights the farming animals worsen the climate and nature.
You mean free range? I don't know if they eat a lot of grass.
Yeah. Anyway. I don't know why they say grass. Yeah, free range, you're right.
Grass-fed's what they say about beef. Anyway.
You're right. Nature crisis increases antibiotic resistance. It's true. These animal farms, these slaughterhouses, these animal factories are only making our planet worse. I think it's okay if you guys just stop eating so much food. You won't die. The planet exploding, you will definitely die. But if you eat less food, you probably won't die. You'll probably be okay. Let's start eating crickets.
Insects.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hello. Ectotricity founder.
Let's start a cicada farm.
Exactly. Yeah. Dale Vince added that the RSPCA advertises fairy tale farms in comparison to reality. It's a welfare washing. Yeah, it's almost like greenwashing, right? Oh, look at our green, nice farms that we treat every animal greatly. And then it's like, in secret, you're just torturing all of them. An RSPCA spokesperson said, thanks to our farmed animal welfare standards, millions of animals around the world have better lives. Yeah, after they die. Wow, I'm glad I'm dead because I'm not in that freaking factory anymore. Both the RSPCA and RSPCA assured take any welfare concerns on farms very seriously. This is the sole focus of the scheme and central to the core working of the RSPCA. Failure to conform to the scheme standards is unacceptable. Once concerns came to light, the RSPCA assured launched an immediate investigation and visited all farms identified as being members. So alongside this investigation, we launched an independent review of the RSPCA assured, which has been carried out over several months, including unannounced visits to more than 200 members of the scheme. This is in addition to existing checks we have placed on part of the scheme. They said the comprehensive review looked at a large number of farms and the analysis was ongoing. We will assess this and communicate our findings as soon as we are able. Okay, so to finish off the story, it sounds like there might be a small matter of farms that are breaking the standards, and the RSPCA hasn't been rightfully maybe regulating these farms and checking on them and having random searches to make sure they're all following their regulations. So hopefully they're just a bunch of bad apples in the barrel, and most of these farms are still treating animals well, but I guess we'll find out when they finish their assessment and communicate their findings, if they even will transparently communicate those findings. That's my story about animal welfare. On to the Thursday's 13. And my mouse.
Okay.
Give me a sec. My mouse died.
Your mouse died. You can't click on
Yeah, I
stuff.
can't switch scenes if my mouse is dead. There we go. All right, you're free to go.
Are we on me now? Okay, so this day is Thursday. So today's Thursday's 13, which we do every couple of weeks. We're going to be finding stories that fell through the cracks. So this is Stories from the Cracks. And our first story is number 1, Alex Jones. Alex Jones has to sell his shit. This is a quick story from NewJersey.com, I guess, NJ.com. A federal bankruptcy judge will approve the auction of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' media platforms to help pay more. For more than $1 billion, he is ordered to pay the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. U.S. bankruptcy judge Christopher Lopez said on Tuesday that it will approve the sale of Jones's InfoWars that will start in November, according to reports from the Associated Press and New York Times. Jones was sued by the families of Sandy Hook victims for spreading lies about the school shooting, including falsely claiming it was staged by crisis actors to encourage more restrictions on guns. All right, so there's your Alex Jones is just a piece of human filth, and he was telling these parents who had their kids just not killed, but their bodies blown apart by these assault weapons. Oh, your kids are crisis actors. And seriously, if I was a parent,
I would love to meet one of these people. These crisis actors that exist, supposedly. I'd love to meet one.
No, if I was one of these parents, I would be killing Alex Jones with my bare hands. I would. That's me. That's just me. He would need 24-hour protection just for me alone.
Yeah.
I would be, dude, you're going to die. That would be it for me. I would not put it. But he's got to give up all of his shit because he's been awarded. His family's been awarded over $1 billion. And number 2 story, another malfeasance. Jack Smith is due to release at least a 180-page brief. They call it a brief. Mm-hmm. I think they were limited to 50 pages, but I guess he got permission from the judge. But this is happening today. Special counsel Jack Smith is expected to submit an oversized brief in former President defendant J. Trump's election interference case in Washington, D.C. by Thursday, which is today. The briefing is, in the view of the judge overseeing the case, needed to respond to the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling. Well, the only reason this is necessary is because of that horseshit ruling. But Smith requested permission to exceed the normal length for briefs, seeking to file up to 200 pages of argumentation in the case, which immediately drew comparisons to past special counsel reports like those from special counsels Robert Mueller and Robert Hur. This comes as a response to the Supreme Court's ruling this year, which was horseshit about presidential immunities. No such thing. They fucking invented it. It's just some shit they pulled out of their ass. No such thing. So anyway, Jack Smith has to go. None of these were official acts, so we are going to go ahead with this prosecution. Our number 3 story, the racist Ohio sheriff. This is from late last week. A local Ohio sheriff has thrown himself in electoral politics, suggesting in a social media post that his constituents sent him the personal addresses of locals with Kamala Harris campaign signs on their yards. And what's he going to do with that? He's going to say, oh, I'm going to make sure that they get the legal people sent there. Okay. It's what he says is, I say, write down all the addresses of the people who had her signs on their yards, Zukowski wrote. So when the illegal human locust, which she supports, need places to live. We'll already have the addresses of the Noor families who supported their arrival. Yeah, this guy is up for re-election this year, and I hope he gets trounced, because he's a fascist. It is free speech in this country to support whatever candidate you want without fear of reprisal. And this guy has decided to single out people for having a political opinion. So here we go. Another fascist. No surprise, he's a Republican. Absolutely no surprise, he's a Republican. Speaking of fascists, Project 25 mouthpiece. Do you remember this guy, Kevin Roberts? He's a guy that was interviewed and said, "Oh, we're gonna make this. We're gonna force this on people by force or something like that. There's gonna be blood." But anyway, so the latest thing about him is he killed a dog and bragged about it. So
wow,
another piece. Yeah. Let's delve into this a little bit. The man behind Project 25, the right-wing policy manifesto that includes calls for sharp increase in immigrant deportation if defendant J. Trump is elected, told university colleagues about 2 decades ago that he had killed a neighborhood dog with a shovel because it was barking and disturbing his family, according to the former colleagues who spoke to the Guardian. Kevin Roberts, now the president of the Heritage Foundation, is alleged to have told colleagues and dinner guests that he killed a neighbor's pit bull around 2004 while he was working as a still relatively unknown history professor at New Mexico State University in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So not too far from where we used to live. Loca, a female pit bull that belongs to Robert's neighbors in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Loca's owners said she went missing in 2004, the year that Roberts is alleged to have said he killed his neighbor's dog. So this is an actual thing. It's not a rumor. These people actually had their dog disappear. Not only did he kill it with a shovel, he fucking buried it, apparently. My recollection of his account was that he was discussing in a hallway with various members of the faculty, including me, that a neighbor's dog had been barking pretty relentlessly and was, keeping the baby and probably the parents awake, and that kind of lost it and took a shovel and killed the dog. End of problem. End of problem, said Kenneth Hammond, who was the chair of the university's department at the time. So not only is this Kevin Roberts character just a human trash disposal, he's also a dog killer. And while Trump is yelling about Haitians eating dogs, which none of them ate any dogs, he should be decrying this guy. Oh, never heard of him. Oh, he killed the dog. Who cares? Yeah, you care about dogs. Unless your mouthpiece is killing them, right? And weather news, Hurricane Helene. Remember a couple weeks ago we had a tropical depression that might have gotten named Helene. Never got named. It just moved on shore and dumped a lot of rain here. Not very slowly though. But they've actually named Hurricane Helene is on shore. Will roar in shore in Florida. This is from weather.com. Hurricane Helene will roar in shore in Florida, bringing life-threatening hurricane force winds well inland. Power outages are likely. Helene is expecting the rainfall in the Florida and southeast. Landfall expected tonight. Potentially catastrophic storm surge could occur in Florida's Big Bend region. Big Bend is the Gulf of Mexico. It's this, where Florida just kind of drops down. There's a bend right there. Yeah. Life-threatening rainfall, flooding, damaging winds, and some tornadoes. The standard hurricane stuff. And other news about Haitian immigrants filing charges. Oh yes, this is a great story. Haitian group in Springfield files criminal charges against Trump and Vance after false pet claims. The leader of a Haitian, this is from NBCnews.com, Zoe Richards. The leader of a Haitian nonprofit community filed criminal charges Tuesday against former President defendant J. Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance of Ohio over false claims they made about Haitian immigrants eating local pets in Springfield, Ohio. Jerlene Joseph, a co-founder and executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance, or the HBA, filed the charges on behalf of the group. Over the last 2 weeks, both Trump and Vance have led an effort to vilify and threaten the Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio. Together, they spread an amplified, debunked claim that Haitian immigrants in Springfield are eating dogs, cats, and wildlife. The group's attorney, Subud Chandra, cited inaction from prosecuting attorney and asserting Joseph's right to file charges as a private citizen. Ohio law allows private citizens to file affidavits charging people with crimes. However, the law requires hearings to take place before the affidavits can move forward. Probably won't amount to much because there never seems to be any retribution or any price to pay when you're a rich person in America. But hopefully they get some kind of trial going and maybe get Trump some time, get Van thrown in prison too. That would be freaking great. Make him pay like through the nose too. Anyways, there's a story about the Haitians getting back at the racist piece of shit Republican ticket. And the biggest news actually in America today is New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. This is from ABC 7 New York. The charges remain sealed according to sources familiar with the matter. Adams now becomes the first New York City mayor in history to be indicted while still in office. If he were to resign, he would be replaced by the city's public advocate, Jumaane Williams, who would then schedule a special election. A spokesman for New York City's the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York declined to comment. So, of course, Eric Adams is demanding that he's innocent of all charges, even
though no one ever says, you know what, you caught me, I'm guilty. No one ever says that, so...
Right. You got me. You probably should resign. Yeah, this has been coming for a while. You can see it coming from a mile off. They were indicting all kinds of people in this administration, and people resigning, like the lady that resigned last week. You can see this coming. Anyway, it's a sealed indictment. The only reason we know about it is because his people told us, right? The feds don't go out and publicize this shit. They just indict you. And of course, they will unseal it at some point. Right now, they're just, I guess, gathering up people they can charge. And in sports, we have a big news. I mean, Shohei Ohtani. We got to talk about Shohei Ohtani, okay? Shohei Ohtani became the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in the same season. And his 50 home run ball is going on auction for about $500,000. Opening bid on eBay. Yeah, somebody caught it. So once you catch a home run ball like that, that's like winning the lottery. You can auction it off. And of course, on that same day, this is last Friday, this is why it's news to me. The same day he hit his 50th home run, he went 6 for 6 with 3 home runs in the same game.
Really?
10 RBI. Yeah. Wow. 3 home runs. That is about as good as you can do. He went 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 doubles. Yeah, seriously. One of the best days at the plate in the history of baseball. And don't forget, Ohtani is also a pitcher. He's also a pitcher, although he hasn't pitched this year because he has a rotator cuff injury. But considering the fact that he has a rotator cuff injury and he can still steal bases, right? You could hurt your shoulder sliding into a base. Anyways, Ohtani, probably the best player in history, considering the fact that he pitches. And he hits with power, and he steals bases. Not necessarily a great person in the field, but he can pitch every 5 days, right? And he's a decent pitcher. I mean, he doesn't make the All-Star game as a pitcher. So Shohei Ohtani, the Swiss Army knife of Major League Baseball. And number 9, Trump is old. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's the oldest person ever get a party nomination for president. And yesterday he was giving a speech in North Carolina, and he got on his Truth Social, so-called Truth Social network, and said, "It's a great day in Louisiana." I have no idea why he gives a shit about Louisiana. Nobody's even campaigning in Louisiana, but he thinks. And then a half hour later he goes, I'm ahead in all the polls in Louisiana. So he had to correct, make an adjustment. It's like, yeah, of course you're in polls of all. It's a right-wing fascist state. Of course you're in charge there, because they're a bunch of racists down there, and they don't let black people vote, or they come up with reasons to exclude them from voting.
Oh, you can't vote because you haven't gone to the library in the last 3 years. Okay, I guess I won't vote then.
Or they put one polling place in black district, and they have the hours, like 3 hours a day or something.
Yeah.
Like for early voting, and then they close it early on election day. Shit like that. Yeah. Anyways, Anyway, Trump doesn't know where the fuck he is most of the time. It goes with situational awareness. Number 10, Congress averts a shutdown. Yeah, Congress is about to shut their crap down again, right before the election, just to go, hey, we can do this again. But for some reason, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has cleared the way for a spending bill. It was passed by the Senate, and now the government will keep running through the rest of the year. So it won't be no Christmas bullshit like last year. And it's basically a stopgap because it's all they ever do because it's politics. And at least it's good news. We don't have to hear about it for the rest of the year. And number 11 news, Justin Trudeau survived a motion of no confidence. That's right.
The president, I didn't even know that was happening.
The Prime Minister. Yeah, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. This is very recent. This is very new. This happened yesterday. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau survived the motion in Parliament. This is from BBC.com, Nadine Yosef. And he survived the motion in Parliament aimed at bringing down his government and triggering an election. Wednesday's no confident vote was his first in a series of similar votes expected to put forward by the opposition Conservative Party amid Trudeau's plummeting approval ratings. Motion failed after opposition leader Pierre Poilievre fell short of his effort to shore up support from leaders of two political parties in Parliament, the New Democratic Party and the Bloc Québécois. It's a big long French word. Québécois. Trudeau has been Canada's Prime Minister for 9 years and has been leading under a minority government. Voting was held on Wednesday afternoon, the same day as Trudeau was set to host French President Emmanuel Macron, who actually survived his own no confidence vote this month, recently. Anyway, so Trudeau survives. Number 12, China fires on ICBM. Yes, China says this is according to CNN.com, Nectar Gan. China says it successfully fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean on Wednesday, a rare public test that analysts said was meant to send a message to the United States and its allies amid heightening tensions. An ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, carrying a dummy warhead was launched at 8:44 a.m. Beijing time and fell into a designated area at high seas of the Pacific Ocean. So that's your posturing news from China. And our 13th story, Jared Kushner's grift. Oh my, we're finally getting around to the Congress investigating Jared Kushner, defendant J. Trump's son-in-law. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I heard a noise. A private equity firm owned by Jared Kushner, this is from TheGuardian.com, Robert Tate, a private equity firm owned by Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, has been paid $157 million in fees since 2021 without returning any profit to investors.
Ooh, don't mess with people's money, man.
He's getting a kickback for being close to power and the chance that he might be close to power again. And if you're running a investment firm and you're getting fees, maybe you should be returning profits for your investors.
Yeah, maybe.
It seems
maybe
like
you should be doing your job as an investing firm. Just an idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks like Jared Kushner's got himself a little honey hole to hide $157 million where he doesn't have to do jack shit for it, except be Trump adjacent. But the inquiry is launched by the Democrat-led Senate Finance Committee in response to reports the New York Times. It's called Democratic-led Senate, not Democrat-led. I don't know why they got to use the wrong terms. I hate that. The inquiry was launched by the Democratic-led Senate Finance Committee in response to reports in the New York Times that Kushner was pursuing property deals abroad and his father-in-law was embroiled in a presidential campaign. The House has actually gone around with this because Jamie Comer, who is the head of a key committee in the House, is a Republican. And he says, yes, this does not look on the up and up. So we may have, once Trump is out of power, defanged, we may have a lot of his family going to jail. There's your stories for today on the Thursday 13 Stories from the Cracks. Back to you.
Story from the Cracks. Well,
and I sent you a film. I sent you a video.
I've already done that.
Right on. Okay.
All right. Speaking of cracks, let's look at a huge crack in the electronic music scene when Moog. Oh yeah, like a cow. Moog Music.
Like a cow.
Robert Moog released the first Moog synthesizer in 1964. On this day, changed the face of all music forever. This is on Your News Culture by Johnny Walfitz. What is the Moog synthesizer in layman terms? Robert Moog's synths were the first to entirely allow people to create and manipulate electronic music. His first prototype had 2 voltage-controlled oscillators and a voltage-controlled amplifier. The first oscillator allowed users to change a created sound's pitch through its voltage, which could then be modulated with the second oscillator to produce effects like tremolo. Why is it in the news and why is this significant? Well, do you listen to any EDM? It's the 60th anniversary of the first Moog synthesizer. Electronic sound synths already existed at a time, but they were the size of entire rooms. Moog, a fan of the theremin, the touchless electronic instrument created in the 1920s, experimented with adding amplifiers to the synth's oscillators to make a more portable version of the machine. And who was able to buy this synthesizer? As well as being the first portable modular system, it was also the first affordable one. Well, sort of. The original Moog synthesizer was $10,000 in 1964. Adjusted for inflation, that's around $100,000 or 90,000 euros, so it wasn't exactly cheap. But it was significantly less than millions you'd pay in today's money for its competition. And to be fair, you're buying one synthesizer as long as you're not throwing it out of your balcony. I mean, that's a one-time purchase, you know? Usually.
Of course, your smartphone can do this nowadays.
Who did spend that much money on a synthesizer? The first customer was actually a British-American composer, Eric Sedey, who had commissioned Moog to make it for him and asked for a keyboard to be added to the machine. Other composers interested in the experimenting with the electronic music then continued to commission Moog and asked for added filter features, creating new sounds such as the wah-wah effect. Yeah, that's me when I'm listening to EDM, by the way. I'll be like, oh, I really like that zipper sound. Zoop, zoop, zoop. I don't know what else to call it. It sounds like a zipper. Did it make good music? As more classical composers flocked to Moog's intriguing synths, it didn't take long for the first impressive piece of music. One of the first pioneers with the Moog synthesizer was Paul Beaver, who worked with Mort Garson to create the album Zodiac, Cosmic Sounds, which is noted as an inspiration point for multiple future experimental musicians. Then, in 1968, the album Switched on Bach saw Wendy Carlos reinterpret Bach's compositions to commercial and critical acclaim. It won 3 Grammy Awards and was the first classical album certified platinum. Wow, I guess I gotta listen to Switched on Bach, huh? Platinum classical album. What about pop music? Probably the first famous use of the Moog synthesizer came from rock band The Doors, especially Strange Days, the titular song from The Doors' second album in 1967. Beaver brought his synth talents and modulated notes made by lead singer Jim Morrison to create the eerie soundscape of the track. Not long after, Moog was all the rage with Beatles using it in Abbey Road. Other early adopters include the Monkees, the Grateful Dead, the Rolling Stones, as well as jazz musicians like Herbie Hancock and Sun Ra. Boy, that's a lot of famous people who used the synthesizer to make some great albums. A lot of people think Abbey Road's the best album ever. So
that's a coincidence, you know why?
Yeah. So is the Moog synth the only one? Nowadays, electronic music is ubiquitous, and synths are produced by an almost endless number of companies, as well as being emulated through digital music production software. With that, it means Moog rested on his laurels. In 1978, Moog released a new synth, the Mini Moog. This even more portable version of the original synths was a hit. Although Moog only anticipated to sell around 100 to niche session musicians, it sold in the thousands for over a decade and paved the way for products such as the vocoder, which is when you put your voice into a synthesizer and famous Bon Jovi did it. Bon Jovi's famous for doing it. Micro Moog, Multi Moog, and the Poly Moog. These made Moog a household name in the music world, and it featured heavily on progressive rock albums by Yes, Tangerine Dream, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. and probably its biggest commercial hit in the 70s was Donna Summer's I Feel Love, almost entirely produced on the Moog. But what happened to the Moog? As more competition for Moog synths appeared in the early 80s, this company ran into difficulties. Digital synths from companies like Yamaha, damn Japanese people, were too much for Moog, and the company declared bankruptcy in 1987. But by 2002, people looked back on the Moog synths with appropriate nostalgia, and Moog brought back a new range of synths. Moog died in 2005, aged 71, too young, but the company continues to produce synths, including the new Spectravox, Labyrinth, and Muse models released this year. So, happy 60th anniversary to the creation of, well, not the creation, but the widespread of synth musics, and EDM, and all sorts of, the whole 80s of music trends, basically. Everyone knows it's an 80s song if you start hearing synth music playing, you know,
although it started in the 60s.
Yep, and it all started 60 years ago.
You mentioned Abbey Road.
Yep, and Abbey Road, of course, yeah.
Abbey Road, Maxwell Silver Hammer, I think, was the first synthesizer used. When I think about it, it may have been one of the other songs I heard.
Well, that's my story. So on to this day in history.
This day in history. On September 26th in 1580, after nearly 3 years at sea, English Admiral Francis Drake arrived in Plymouth Harbor, England, completing his circumnavigation of the world. So Francis Drake completed a navigation of the world that Magellan couldn't finish. 1687, during the bombardment of the Acropolis, remember we went there and we tried to figure out what the hell happened to the Acropolis?
Yeah.
Well, this is the day it happened, September 26th. And actually, we were there in like November, weren't we? During the bombardment of Acropolis by Venetian forces, not people from Venus. No, it was not aliens from Venus. It was from Venice, Italy. I think they were named after Venetian forces. Part of the Parthenon was destroyed by a powder explosion. Ka-boom!
Boom.
So 1687 on this day.
They wanted to get rid of the Ottomans they wanted to kick the Ottomans out of Greece, and they blew up their own Parthenon to do it, basically.
No, it was the Venetians that did it. They're from Italy.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying they wanted to get... Never mind, don't worry about it.
Okay. 1815, the Holy Alliance of Russia, Austria and Prussia was formed after the defeat of Napoleon. The Holy Alliance had a lot of holes in it. 1820, that's the way I read it. 1820, American frontiersman and Daniel Boone died in St. Charles, Missouri. Right on the confluence of the Mississippi and the Missouri River, I believe. That's where St. Charles is. 1898, George Gershwin, one of the most significant and popular American composers, was born. And no, he did not use synth, at least not in his early compositions. In 1962, the American TV series The Beverly Hillbillies debuted on CBS, becoming one of the most popular sitcoms in the 60s. The Fish Out of Water comedy. Take a bunch of hillbillies and throw them in Beverly Hills, California, and watch the hilarity ensue. And we were speaking of Abbey Road earlier. Did you know on this day in 1969, the Beatles released Abbey Road, their last recorded album. Although Let It Be was released later, Abbey Road was the last one they sat down and played notes into a microphone for.
Yeah. And used synths.
And used synthesizer, at least on Maxwell Silver Hammer, maybe a couple others. 1969, the American sitcom The Brady Bunch. Here's a story of a lovely lady who is raising the girls and something. And it became The Brady Bunch, appearing on ABC. It became an enduring pop culture phenomenon. And of course, the questions abound. Like, okay, Mr. Brady was an architect, but for some reason he had a house with 6 kids and 1 bathroom. Brilliant architect. Anyway, 6 kids.
Maybe that's why he became an architect to fix that problem for other families.
No, I think he was an architect with 3 grown children, like three boys. Remember, they got married. They had their own clan. And then it's like, hey, maybe we should build another bathroom on here. Fuck it. Let's make them wait every morning and complain about it. Anyway, back to this day in history. In 2008, Paul Newman passed away. American actor's striking good looks and compelling performance made him Hollywood's most popular leading man. Don't forget, Paul Newman also created a food company that gives all of its
great dressing
profits to charity. Yeah. All of its profits go to charity, and they still do to this day, I hope. At least when Paul Newman was alive, it did. Anyway, he was Butch Cassidy, and Robert Redford was a Sundance Kid. 2019, French politician Jacques Chirac died at the age of 86. We saw a lot of stuff in Paris with Jacques Chirac's name on it, so he must have been very popular. He was the president of France from 1995 to 2007. So, sad day for him, but he got to be 86, and he didn't have to spend it in prison like that guy in Japan.
Yeah.
Also, our featured event this day was the first in the history televised U.S. presidential debate, the first in a series of historic televised debates seen by some 85 to 120 million viewers between U.S. presidential candidates John F. Kennedy and Vice President Richard M. Nixon was broadcast on this day in 1960. Our featured biography, our cousin. Yes, T.S. Eliot is our cousin. American English poet and playwright and literary critic was born on this day. Happy birthday to T.S. Eliot, born September 26, 1888. Died on January 4th, 1965, at the age of 76 in London. So he's born in St. Louis, but died in England. He became an English person after he got tired of the United States, probably. I don't know. Anyway, T.S. Eliot, our fourth cousin or something like that, was born on this day. Happy birthday, T.S. Eliot. Other birthdays besides T.S. Eliot: Martin Heidegger, German philosopher; George Gershon, we already mentioned; Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister of India, born in 1932; and Serena Williams' birthday today. She was born in 1981. She's turning a bright, shiny, young 43 today. So happy birthday to Serena.
Bright, shiny, young.
And National Day calendar, it is National Compliance Officer Day. Oh boy, Compliance Officer. Okay, that's the guy that's making sure that everybody's doing everything right, so the whole company doesn't get in trouble for whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, what the RSPCA needs right now, because they have a lot of animal welfare problems.
Yeah, they're just pencil whipping everything. Oh yeah, that's organic. That's naturally grown. Let's look the other way.
Those sure are free-range chickens in that warehouse. They're free to range in the warehouse.
They can range from that that 2x2 cell they're in, back and forth all day long if they want. It's National Situational Awareness Day, National Dumpling Day, dumplings, National Pancake Day, and National Johnny Appleseed Day, who is another one of our cousins.
Oh yeah.
What?
Pancake Day.
Hell. That's right, it's National Pancake. All right. Guys, we got noise going on in my headphones again. Sorry. It's Johnny Appleseed Day is another one of our cousins, as I was trying to say until music started playing in my head. Johnny Appleseed was born John Chapman on September 26, 1774, in Leominster, Massachusetts, to Nathaniel and Elizabeth Simmons Chapman. Anyway, nobody knows much about his early life, but Johnny Appleseed was a real person, and we're related to him. Another cousins. We have two cousins born today. Famous cousins.
Look at that.
T.S. Eliot and Johnny. And it's National Shamu the Whale Day. So, just Shamu. Another whale. Screw the other whales. Just Shamu. So, there's your days for today. Your long, extended, late version of Before Coffee on September 6, 2024 on Before Dumplings.
Dumplings and pancakes. That's what I'm going to be eating today here in the Netherlands. This has been Allison. We will see you tomorrow for the Friday News Dump, but we're going to tell you even more things that have been happening this week. If there's anything you think we didn't talk about or you want us to talk about, please comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live on YouTube, so you can be here to find out all the current events happening. Take care out there. Wear a sweater because it's sweater weather now, and keep yourself dry so you don't get gangrene. And let's look at mic drop moment. The first ever
excerpts from the great
filmed debate.
The subject under discussion was recent Democratic legislation.
This is a political ad.
These particular bills in these various fields that have been mentioned were not passed was not because the president was against them. It was because the people were against them. It was because they were too extreme.
Well, now let's look at these bills that the Vice President suggests were too extreme. One was a bill for $1.25 an hour for anyone who works in a store or a company that has $1 million a year business. I don't think that's extreme at all. Secondly was the Federal Aid to Education bill. It was not an extreme bill, and yet we could not get one Republican to join. The third is medical care for the aged.
Partisanism, man. Worst thing that's ever happened in politics.
Social Security fund.
I can't side with them. They're on the other side. Yeah, but what about what they're trying to get passed? I don't care what it is, because we're on the other side.
Move ahead with new leadership. Let's elect John F. Kennedy president.
Yeah.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.